Hello again from Central Rhode Island. I'm in a pine oak forest with some beech, white pine, more beech, American beech, Fagus grandifolia with its marcescent leaves. We got brackens, the Paterdium fern right here. Very typical of these kind of dry forests. Got all sorts of weird plants. These are likely Lechia? I couldn't tell you. I'm not sure what these are. Maybe they're Lechia, pinweeds. Gaultheria precumbens right here, or the eastern teaberry, as well as Dendrolycopodium obscurum, or flat-branched club moss. You can tell it's flat-branched because when you put your fingers through them, they don't roll. They just kind of slide past, whereas Hickeyii, you can kind of twist them. Boom. And look, we got a little Myanthemum canadense, too. Get good old, very common Smilax rotundifolia, this prickly lily family plant. Forms these dense thickets and hedges, as you can see over there. We have lowbush blueberry, Vaccinium angustifolium. From these tiny little baby little bushes. They're so cute. Little tiny baby bonsais. I'm going to trudge through a small maple clethra briar swamp. This is the clethra right here, Clethra alnifolia. And there's your red maple, Acer rubrum, and your briar, the green briar, Smilax rotundifolia. And they form this kind of thicket mess. But there's a lot of good plants that can grow in these locations. Look, we got probably bunny or squirrel, little paws, little footprints running about in the frozen swamp. This maple we have Thudium delicatum, or delicate fern moss, probably the second most common moss in the region. I have an acidic swamp in New England with a high bush blueberry, or Vaccinium coriambosum. Coriambosum. Wonder what coriambosum means. Rhododendron viscosum, or swamp rhododendron. These are going to be its future flowers. And let's see if I can find a past seed pod. Doesn't look like this one has any. Nope, no past seeds. No seed capsules. You'll just have to deal with the beautiful bud. Look at that. I like that bud. These have really nice white flowers in the summer, like July, and they smell amazing, and hummingbirds and bumblebees like them. Beautiful. You only really find them in swamps or along the pond shores. We have Calcladium imponens, the most common moss in the region, or hypnum moss, one of my favorites. We got the beautiful Eubatris racemosa, or the fetterbush, another common swamp plant in the blueberry family, just like that rhododendron is. And these will all turn into little beautiful little bell-shaped white flowers that dangle down. And this is the remains of those little guys, these little seed capsules here. Beautiful shrub, really nice foliage. Eubatris racemosa. And it has a similar cousin that's the huckleberry, which is Lyonia lingustrina. But how you tell them apart, Eubatris has long, slender kind of floral arrangements. The flowers are arranged in a line on the stick, whereas Eubatris is more like kind of like a clump. I'll show you if I find one later today. Some dicranum growing on this rock, this piece of granite here. Granite licks with a little bit of quartz. Well, that's dicranum, all right. So is Polypodium virginianum, or the rock polypody. There's some more Calcladium imponens, more Thudium delicatum here. And this is more Thudium and Calcladium. And then we got this little mystery moss here, which might be an atrichum or something or other, you know. A little boggy area with sphagnum moss. Look at it. You can see it's bright green underneath the ice. A little vernal pool. Beautiful. Big white pine, Pinus strobus. Here's another one of those azaleas. This one has the seed pod, if you can Where is it? Okay, it's right there. If you can see it. Let's see. You see that? Oh, it's nice. Look at that. Beautiful. So this would be a basically a mixed pine, maple, blueberry clethra swamp with some briar. It's a very diverse swamp, or it's even boggy. But there's a lot of blueberry type shrubs. It's a lot of diversity of shrubs in there. Then you get a lot of diversity in trees. You get red maple and white pine. There might even be some red oak in there. Maybe ash, but it's treacherous. It's hard to get through, and the ice kind of breaks. You can see the dark areas. That's all ice. Or not really ice, it's thin ice. It's basically thin ice. You can see a spot of water showing over there. So this is like a spring. It's much warmer than water is much warmer than the surrounding air. Because it's the same temperature as the ground, more or less. It's an upwelling. The majority of the shrubs in there are blueberries, or Ericaceae type shrubs. Ericaceae meaning blueberry family. This brushy, shrubby woodland is what covers a lot of Rhode Island. So my last video displayed a central Connecticut woodland, and if you're watching, or if you know about it, the basically the slopes and just the general forest was very open. You know, there wasn't as many shrubs. Or in areas that there were shrubs, there was always nearby open areas. Like, it wasn't dense as this. Oh, look at that. It's a black tupelo right there. That one's a beauty. Such a nice winter day. Look at that. Isn't that nice? Hold on, you gotta position it directly behind the tree for the best photo. Oh, look at that. Like, these are wicked beautiful in the summer. They're wicked beautiful in general. This is like, there isn't any invasives in this. This is a acidic, like, swamp bogland. That's a sphagnum moss right there. Look at that beautiful high bush blueberry stems. Vaccinium coriambosum. You can see that the new growth, if we can zoom in, boom, is more red. Whereas the stem's like kind of like a brownish red, but you can tell the difference from like a swamp azalea, which has much different stem look. I'll show you. I'll go find one. See that rhododendron bark is much paler. It's much more gray. Whereas the blueberry is obviously brown. This one's a bad example because it's so small, but this is the one I could find. Look at that. Gray bark instead of the blueberries, more red tinged, like that right there. Beautiful rock covered in calcladium components. The hypnum moss. Look at that. Beautiful. Man, it's on this beautiful piece of like marbled quartz granite conglomerate stuff. It's pretty nice. Maybe it's nice. Let me look. The thing is, you can't look with these ones because they're glacier stones. They could have been deposited from thousands of miles away. But I'm leaning towards it's like a granite with kind of marbled with quartz. They're hard to tell, but it's beautiful. Look at that. I gotta learn my rocks. We have dicranum, some kind of cladonia lichen. Look at that, that thing's beautiful. And then you go up and we have another type of lichen. This one might be a xanthoparmelia, or it's a parmelia, or one of those things. And then right here we have a Lacelia, the blistered navel lichen. There's two species. I think the blistered is like papulosa or pustulosa, I don't know. It's one of those two, and this is on a granite. You can see how red it is, or pink. That's definitely granite right there. Into the uplands, you see it does not clear up with shrubs, because it becomes mountain laurel, woods immediately. Another extremely common forest type. And it's typical of dry, acidic woods, which this one is, with its oaks, which is that one there, and your pines, which is that one, white pine. And that one's a red oak. There's your bark to prove it. Your Quercus alba, your white oak. Another common one in these woodlands. Your red oak there, white pine. And these are little red maples growing in the shade. They're cute little trees. And then the swamp's full of them down there. Here's your Lyonia ligostrina. You can see how they're different. They form these little groups of nutlets instead of entire rows. And the buds are just different, and they typically don't make flower buds for another few months. They are nice. Another Ericaceae shrub. We have an Usnea lichen that fell from a tree, or brushy beard. Cool lichen. Grows in the tops. As you get into the uplands in these areas, you get your black huckleberry, Galusha baccata. Very common. Forms these little thickets. Tasty berries. Got some Monotropa uniflora, or the Indian pipe. A little parasitic blueberry plant. Beautiful. Also got tiny Calmia angustifolia, or the sheep laurel. Yep, that's nice. That's a beauty right there. That thing's a work of art. This is just more Calicladium imponens in this beautiful pine oak forest. With the Calmia latifolia, of course. A heath understory. We're in a young kind of oak laurel, with this being laurel oak Calmia, kind of seep area. And it's cool to see all the Calmia in here, kind of being dwarfed. Seeps tend to be pretty dang diverse too, but I've tried to explore these areas and I've had luck. But man, they suck to explore. It's just climbing over a horizontal tree. But I mean, there is good stuff in them. It's just, you gotta look between all the laurel and ferns. It gets old pretty fast. Compare this again to my open woodland videos. Look how dense this crap is. A shrub forest. These things are wicked beautiful, but man, it's like a maze. It is very slow going through these. You can get through them, but it sucks. And they are diverse, it's just sparse. So it's like finding needles in the haystack. You are going to find the needle, it's just you gotta look. That's the whole thing in these areas. The tracks of probably a coyote going down the trail. Ah, look at that. That's cool. All that ice on this ledge with the Umbilicaria mammulata. That's that lichen there. Got dicranums, thudium, not thudium, but calcladium. There is definitely thudium somewhere. There's always a thudium on one of these. Let's see if we can find it. Well, I'll let you know if I find it. Now we're in the Calmia mazelands. We got black huckleberry up here. I'm following an old deer path. and likely an old path that connects two trails between two different conservation easements, but for whatever reason it's closed. The black huckleberries in these areas are pretty nice to walk through. Just kind of walking through a low shrub layer, but the kalmia sucks. I can't stress that enough. So here's footage of going through kalmia mazelands. It's all about trying to find a deer trail. They suck to go through. It's freaking beautiful though. I mean, when these are all going off, it's like climbing through a maze of flowers. And sometimes there's stuff that grows in between them, but you gotta look. That's the whole thing. Be 100-year-old or more patch of kalmia latifolia, or the mountain laurel. And I'm in a patch that's pretty old too, in this pine oak forest. Look at that. The snow is bejeweled. It has all the colors of the rainbow facing back up. So if I follow this angle and get close enough to one of these sunspots right here, we should be able to see the reflections of individual flakes. Yeah, that's what they are. See that? Look at that. That's beautiful. Let's see if we can focus on that one. See that bright green one? That's fucking nuts. Look at that. That's awesome. And yeah, you can just change the color of the rainbow just by looking. Oh my god. Dude, that's fucking beautiful. Can't get over that. That's so cool. You can see each individual crystal. Just a little. Monotropa uniflora in the kalmia thicket. I'm going to show you guys how to trudge through this stuff. There's me all small and crouched down in this kalmia thicket. You just gotta get on the ground and kind of work your way through that way. So sometimes you can either look at that, or you could find more clear spots where trees have fallen, and then you can make a little bit of progress. You can stand up again. You can stand in. You're like, okay, get your bearings. If you want to continue this way towards a path you think is, you just kind of head towards there. And I'll let you know when I get on the path. I have a beautiful yellow birch, or Betula algensis, with the fruliana, or the New York scale wort, and some little tiny, I don't know what the heck those mosses are. They might be Athelia. Athelia hurtella. Is it? No, it's something way different from Athelia. It'll be on iNaturalist. I love white pine forests. Especially in the winter. Pine laurel forest, I mean, it's like, okay, it's not winter anymore. You know, you get a little bit of green, a little bit of shade, instead of just the blinding white and brown and black of open uplands. Evergreen forest, Central Rhode Island. Island's piney areas, where you get to areas where the dominant tree is white pine, you either get an open pine forest like this, or a pine with a pine sapling thicket. Like a mature forest with just a junkload of pines in the understory, similar to patchwork forest. But this one's an open one. And these ones tend to be a little bit more, maybe not diverse, but just like it's a different variety of plants that grow in them, rather than like a pine sapling forest or an oak forest or a maple forest or a swamp. You know what I mean. Hiking through them is pleasant, I would have to say. You just might have to break off a few sticks that you pass by. You just kind of go a direction. You have little bush blueberries scattered about. In the beautiful pine forest, birds absolutely love these areas. And there could be different, maybe dendrolycopodiums in here. There's definitely Dryopteris marginalis. That's what this one is right here. See that? Little Dryopteris just sticking one frond out, but you can know what it is by the way the fern is, and that it doesn't start branching out till a little bit further up, so it's marginal. It starts at a margin. I think that's what it is. But yeah, wood fern. Seed capsules of Chimaphila maculata, a little tiny herbaceous shrub in the blueberry family. These are white flowers in the summer, and it has this cute little base rosette, and if you've watched any of my other videos, you know what it is. It's Chimaphila maculata, these little seed capsules. It's holding spore-like seeds sticking out of the snow here. Look how beautiful. I have a tiny little leucobirum paired up with a thudium, or no, a calcladium. So this is the leucobirum right here. There's this little spore thingy. And then there is the calcladium components mixing with it. Probably on a small pine log. Celia hurtella, that's this kind of moss. One that kind of looks like noodles. Long and stringy little fans. Little noodles. That's the best way to call them. And then they get these little tan spore pod things. But you can really tell how they grow when you look right there, because they have this kind of interesting branching style, like this opposite. I love Celia hurtella. All big chunks of granite. Look how beautiful. Up on the small hill, underneath pines. And down this bouldery slope into this valley with the brook at the bottom. That's what that dark area is. As you can see, that there's all sorts of big boulders. Look at that. There's Umbilicaria mammulata on that. And then there's Polypodium virginianum. That's that green little fern. And then these shrubs are all black huckleberries. Galusha baccata. Got a little oak right there. Another little oak. That's also an oak. And then all white pines. Eulata. Maybe Eulata crispa. There's a couple species. It's a little moss. Moss likes boulders. You can see him on boulders and trees, but a lot of the times on boulders, and he forms little patchy clusters. But what's really common is the scalewort, the Fruliana. I love it. It's so cool. It's everywhere. Everywhere you see these kind of dark red splotches, those are all azaleas. And then we also got like a weird calcladium. And these little guys, these are all eulatas. So if you go to this boulder, you can find the eulatas here and just kind of throughout. And then you got all the Lasalia, the different cladonia lichens. That's an awesome one right there. Likely have Carex pennsylvanica, or the Pennsylvania sedge. It's a very common sedge in these dry lands. But sedges, there's like a lot of different types. And some of them are distinct with their leaves, some of them are not. And I'm still learning them. Monotropa hypopodes, or pine sap. Look at that. Another little parasitic plant in the blueberry family.